both of those beautiful books came home with me, as did this bookmark. I had actually been planning to start looking out for more books by Benjamin Myers, having really enjoyed A Perfect Golden Circle just about a week or two ago. I hadn't got as far as actually going in search of any books by him, but I had an unplanned trip to our local bookshop because one lovely lazy afternoon late in the summer holidays, my son said to me, "Hey mummy, do you want to, I don't know, go to the bookshop?" He knows me so well. I am always delighted to head to the bookshop. There can't be many reasons I would ever refuse such an offer. So we headed off to the lovely Lisnajan and settled in with drinks and snacks, had a play, had a browse, had a chat. It was delightful. So this particular title by Benjamin Myers, Rare Singles, is one that was on my radar already. I had read the blurb of it in Lisnajan a few months ago and thought it looked really promising, but I hadn't acted on it at the time, and then it slipped my mind. The author's name didn't really mean anything to me at the time. It was before I had enjoyed A Perfect Golden Circle. So it was a lovely surprise to just come across it all fresh while I was browsing. It felt like the right moment to scoop it up. As for the other choice, Whale Fall, I knew nothing about it. I just discovered it for the first time on the shelf that day, and it appealed to me. So I sat with it for a little while and read the first few pages, and based on that, I felt like I was going to appreciate the writing, so it came home with me. There is nothing quite like the particular magic of discovering a new book on the shelves of your bookshop that you've never heard of before. It can be so refreshing to dive into a book and have no prior opinion of it at all. One day recently in town, my son and I were looking round the market and some charity shops, and while he brought home a massive, almost life-size, cuddly wolf, I brought home a stash of books that were mostly quite food-oriented. So this stash on my lap is a lovely little treasure trove that I thought I would show you. This first book is The Victorian Kitchen, and it goes with a television series from 1989, which followed on from a series called The Victorian Kitchen Garden from 1987, when they set up a kitchen garden to be a fully working model so that they could show how things were done back then. This represents a whole different world to me, not just the Victorian one, but the time in which this was produced as a series. I feel like back then television was slower, people were given more time to express themselves, and people listened to each other better. The episodes were very gentle, very steady and soothing in nature, but full of information, so quite riveting as well, the perfect blend. I'm looking forward to soaking up more of the detail sometime. Next is Mastering the Art of French Cookery by Julia Child. Now, I have to confess, the only reason I know about this book is because I love the movie Julie and Julia by Nora Ephron, who also did You've Got Mail, which is a firm favourite of mine. Anyway, Julie and Julia stars Meryl Streep and Amy Adams in 2 time frames, along with the wonderful Stanley Tucci. This copy was only £1.50 in the charity shop, and I just felt like it was a very long overdue thing for me to actually hold this book and look at it, have a good flick through and read what Julia Child has to say. Then we have Foraging with Kids. Now obviously you don't have to have children in your life to go off and start enjoying foraging. I think books like this though offer a really safe way to do it so that you can be well informed. There are a lot of plants out there that we definitely shouldn't be putting in our mouths, but there are so many that we can that a lot of people might not know about. This book features a really handy chart showing when certain plants will be in season, when they'll be fruiting, when they'll be seeding, so that you know whether it's even worth going and looking for this particular ingredient. And that's a really handy tool. There are loads of books out there on the market about foraging and free food and food from the hedgerows, so I know this isn't unique, but this is the one that just happened to jump out at me from the charity shop bookshelf, and also I really love the illustrations. I think it's really nicely produced, so I'm really pleased I found it. Last of all in this little foodie haul is Lucky Rice. Another £1.50 very well spent. I'm looking forward to really getting deep into some of these recipes and choosing some to try out. All of this just looks completely delicious and feels like the kind of food I want to be eating right now, full of lovely, vibrant ingredients. I hope that if you choose to go charity shopping or thrifting soon, that you find some really lovely treasures yourself. The following day, I was setting off for work to go and clean a holiday house that I reset for guests for its owner, and was stopping off to buy flowers from the supermarket as usual. Unfortunately, I had totally forgotten that Sunday trading laws means that although they let you in the shop to browse and gather your items, you're not actually permitted to pay for them until 10 o'clock. Initially, I felt frustrated that I had over 20 minutes to wait around, and it felt like a waste of time and energy, until I remembered a moment later that I do have books in the car, so it felt like this time had been handed to me to enjoy some reading. I donned my headphones to cancel out all of the noise from the music playing in the supermarket, and just settled into a little bubble of my own for a little while with a few pages of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which was delightful. There is a lot of physical cleaning work that goes into resetting the house each time for the next guests, but one of the lighter touches I enjoy is trimming and arranging the flowers and setting out fresh candles and tablecloths. Nearly every time I visit, I find one of these little pink hearts. Many months ago, a large family group had stayed who had obviously celebrated a birthday with a flurry of these pink metallic hearts. And it's just funny how well they hide away from us, and one just pops out every now and then. As is becoming my custom these days, on the way home I parked up in a gateway and just enjoyed the view and ran around a bit, enjoyed the wind and got refreshed. I'm going to read you a few lines from the letters that I was reading just earlier in the supermarket, ones that really stood out to me, and you might enjoy them too. The context is Guernsey having been occupied during the war. Dear Mr. Ramsay, it was so kind of you to write to me about your experiences during the occupation. At the war's end, I too promised myself that I wouldn't talk about it anymore. I had talked and lived war for 6 years, and I was longing to pay attention to something, anything else. But that is like wishing I were someone else. The war is now the story of our lives, and there's no denying it. Those are love tokens? I told my friend Eben I never saw such spiteful stuff. He said to me I had just not read the right poets. He took me into his cottage and lent me a little book of his own. It was the poetry of Wilfred Owen. He was an officer in the First World War, and he knew what was what and called it by its right name. I was there too, at Passchendaele, and I knew what he knew, but I could never put it into words for myself. Well, after that, I thought there might be something to this poetry, after all. I began to go to meetings, and I'm glad I did, else how would I have read the works of William Wordsworth? He would have stayed unknown to me. I learnt many of his poems by heart. Anyway, I did win the hand of Widow Hubert, my Nancy. I got her to go for a walk along the cliffs one evening, and I said, "Look ye there, Nancy. The gentleness of heaven broods o'er the sea. Listen, the mighty being is awake." She let me kiss her. She is now my wife. Yours truly, Clovis Fossey. Thank you for joining me for this video. I will make another one soon. Go forth and spread the bookish love. Bye.